Welcome back to Getting Worked with your boy Jared. I'm here with my boy Ian. We're continuing our series talking about the starting five. We're finishing off the Eastern Conference with the Central Division. If you haven't seen them yet, we have our videos up on the other two divisions in the conference. But now we're going to be topping it off to, of course, include the current and reigning NBA champs. And let's see how the rest of the rosters work out. But with that, I hand it over to my boy Ian.
All right, yeah, Central Division. Yeah, you got to go with the reigning, defending, undisputed champions of the NBA champions of the world, the Milwaukee Bucks. I can't do it as well as Paul Heyman.
No. But
the champs are here. This team, I watched them in the first game, and I had made this up prior to. I have them first. I don't see it. They looked outstanding. They looked better than last year. They looked closer to the team pre-COVID that was kind of rolling through the NBA. They looked a lot closer to that. DiVincenzo is actually still out. He wasn't even playing. But this team, they've got, of course, they've got their usual cast of characters, led by the not defending MVP, but the two-time MVP in Giannis. And Holiday is such a linchpin for them. He really holds everything together for them. Chris Middleton just does what he does. He's the quietest 20 to 25 points you'll ever see. Not the most overly dominant, but they're so big, tall, vertical, everything about this team.
But not slow either. No, that's the biggest thing, right? They've got
Lopez
such great.
Is not quick.
No,
but it's okay because you have the ultra fast guy that's right beside him. So it actually helps. To be fair, I think it helps a lot to kind of keep him right where he is, and to be able to do all those little things that Giannis can just go out and be Giannis, defending, shot blocking, going after the block shots because Lopez is going to get that type of thing. That's this team they're primed. I'm actually really impressed. And actually here, let's pull up the roster real quick because there was a guy, and I will let you say his name because I could not. I heard it a couple of times. I'm like, yep. Every time I look at it, I want to say it's Noir, but I'm not positive that's how you say it.
Oh, Noir. Jordan Noir.
Jordan. He's got a good
that's what I would
name.
assume.
He was not playing. I don't remember him last year at all, but he's a second. I think he went out. I don't know the detail on him, but he's new for this season. He's a scorer. He's not, and that's what this team kind of always missed last year. If they went flat, if Giannis went flat or Middleton went flat, you could get them with some points. If you could get in a high scoring game with him, you were like, okay, guy like that. He came off the bench. He's not. Don't get me wrong. He's not Middleton. He's not Steph Curry. He's not anything. He's not any superstar. But he's a scorer. He'll get you 15. Every night can get you probably 15, 13, 15, 17, somewhere in that neighborhood. And as long as they got a guy coming off the bench that's doing that with the rest of this talent, it's going to be tough. They've got Grayson Allen this year. Grayson wasn't there either. Allen, what you want of him from Duke, if you remember him in Duke, he had some had some feet problems. But
had the Jimmy leg.
He had a little Jimmy leg when people would walk across him or around him. So you got to kind of watch that. But aside from that, if he can keep his feet together, he's another solid guy. You got George Hill, solid veteran point guard. Holiday has any trouble, gets in foul trouble, injuries, whatever. No problem. You can plug George Hill in. You'll lose some, but you won't lose a ton. You still got a guy to run the offense. This team, and of course, I would be remiss not to talk about Bobby Portis.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody loves Bobby. He's not. He wasn't even playing yet, so he's injured as well. But Portis is another. He's a big Mr. Offense, Mr. Intensity, Crazy Eyes,
Mhm.
Crazy Eyes, as Joakim Noah gave him the moniker a long time ago. Love Bobby. Bobby's a great. He's a lot of fun. He's a good player and a good guy. He's a good guy too. So,
Right.
yeah, this team, they've got Rodney Hood, who I completely forgot about, but is a serviceable player, serviceable wing. Another, they just come at you in waves. They're the champs, and until further notice, this isn't some paper champ like the Lakers of when during the whole bubble thing. So this is legitimate champ. And no, that wasn't a shot at all, was it?
Nope.
Yeah, these are real champs, and this is a real championship team that could be primed and ready to go for a real run again. They're not old. They're fairly not young, but not old either. They're good middle age.
Yeah, I think they've got a good balance.
They're in their prime.
Yeah.
All of their stars. I mean, Giannis might even be still entering his prime. I forget exactly how old he is off the top of my head.
I agree. I think regardless of like the specific age he is, I agree. I think he's like really just coming into his prime. I think he still has quite a few years.
He's 26.
Yeah,
26.
see? Yeah. He's got a good at least 4 or 5 years, really, that he could seriously do some damage in the NBA. And depending on how he takes care of himself, because, he's big, but he's not like a hefty big. Hasn't been seriously injury prone throughout his career. So, I mean, he's one of those guys that, you could look at and say.
He gets bigger every time I see him slightly in some way. It's just a little.
He may still be growing. I don't know.
He might still be growing. I know he's not, but legitimately, he might still be.
And he's also, he's getting more and more years in that, pro level fitness program, nutrition program. So, I mean, we could be, very easily putting on some, even more lean muscle on him. That's just,
Mm-hmm.
That's just making him even more dominant. So, I mean, I agree with the sentiment of really until someone really needs to come around and show up and make me feel that they could really take them off their throne. And especially with, you look at least on paper, the two teams that you would think that would really seriously have a chance, they still got to work out their point guard situation, or at least their guard situation. Combo guard on one hand, a 7-foot point guard on the other, and those are really the two teams that I would think that could really give this team a run for their money, and they're not going to be the teams that they think they are, that we would think they would be on paper. So
absolutely,
I don't, especially in the East, I really cannot see a situation barring major injury or who knows what coming down where they wouldn't be the top out of the East. And to be honest, really even looking at the West right now,
I think the Bucks are number one, period.
I can't.
And not just because they're the champs. I mean, legitimately, if you just match them up, the Lakers don't match up well.
No,
you got a few other teams. Does Denver? We'll see. I mean, maybe, but I think to beat the Bucks, the only sort of loose kind of way of saying it, they don't have a ton of, despite the fact that they have a lot of height. Outside of Giannis, I mean, Giannis is all world. So I'm taking Giannis out of it for just a second. Mm-hmm. Granted, everything flows to and around him. But if you can almost picture it, they're around the paint, they get tall. So if you think looking at the triangle, but in their guards and wings, Middleton's not super long. They're not a long, lanky team that can just, they're not.
Right.
But at the same time, until you get past the 3-point line, the moment you pass that 3-point line, you run into Lopez. And Lopez at 7 foot isn't a lanky guy.
Or
He's
Portis.
7 feet.
Or you got Giannis. Hell, I mean, you can throw his brother in there, I mean, and they've got, I mean, when they need to, they can. They've got Connaughton, who is a tough,
Scrappy.
scrappy guy.
Tough.
He's just just kind of that kind of almost like the old school Celtics kind of player, just does a lot of little bit, just this is going to sound like a weird phrase, but he does a lot of a little bit of everything. Yeah. If you know what I mean. Yeah. He does a lot of that. He's just often in the games doing a little bit of everything, just consistently. And he, again, tough as nails.
Fills up some gaps.
Tough as nails.
Just here, I get this. I can play a little D. I can play a little, hit a three. I can get that loose ball, that type of thing. Which is, you got to have that guy. And I think speaking to them not being a paper champion, I think really that's what it really boils down to. It's not just that the roster is solid as a whole. There are no prima donnas here, and there are no paper tigers on this squad. You've got grown ass men playing basketball, and that in and of itself can be a problem. Especially in today's league. Yes, exactly. You can tell they're buddies.
Yeah.
Which is, it shouldn't matter, but it matters. I mean, it does. It
absolutely it does. And then
you don't want to let that guy, not the coach, not the front office, not because I'm going to get my salary. I don't want to let this guy beside me down.
I don't want to be standing across that key from the free throw line, knowing that the foul wasn't strategic or something dumb, or even just even if it doesn't have anything to do with anything, knowing that 2 plays back, I screwed up that handoff, or, wasn't really wasn't set and ready when that kick out came, or who knows what, or missed that defensive assignment, any of that, and I think it really matters. And I think they've got kind of a similar level of expectation and kind of that team dynamic that really interestingly that, Jordan's trying to instill into the Bulls, except they're doing it kind of the right way, because it is more about just that, I'm sure Giannis has high expectations, but he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that pushes it that same way. I think it's more because it's okay, yeah, this dude's out there doing it every night. He's leading by example. And it's just,
honest, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Whenever your best player, there's no question who the best player is on this team.
Right.
Anytime your best player is the first one at practice, last one to leave, busting his butt, diving after loose balls, blocking shots, playing defense, et cetera, whenever your best player is doing that, everybody else fall in line. Just fall in line, because anything less than that, you have no recourse.
You got no excuse.
Will come after you, because if that guy's doing it, and
then it works its way down.
I'm the 4th best player, 3rd best player, best player.
Well, and Middleton signed up. Middleton's all in.
Sure.
Again, it shows up him too. And he kind of seems like he's kind of maybe a bit more the more vocal person on the team about that kind of thing. But he, you could see it in him when he doesn't show up. You can see it. It's like, no, that's not going to be me tomorrow.
He's on him far worse than anything else that anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so I think that it really kind of boils down to where I really feel like, there's some major injury or somehow they end up beating themselves or something. But if you look at it from from the starting 5 all the way through to their 2nd or 3rd string lineup,
they're weird. They're deeper this year than they were when they won a title.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, especially in the playoffs, where again the rotations become a little bit tighter, where you're going to be definitely probably going with more like an 8-man rotation. Right. You look at probably, including this 5, you're looking at Hill, Portis for sure. And then
Hill,
that
Allen,
third spot, yeah, maybe Allen or Connaughton, maybe. Or if Morrow really starts to show up, I mean, man, I mean, he might
their offense.
he might take it.
Yeah.
You know,
He's their offensive 6-man type of guy, wing scorer.
like Rodney Hood could blow up, and next thing you know, he's
Sure.
coming. I mean, so I think that they're in a good spot for that. They're deep enough to be able to maybe even shift that around. But as far as those long series where, yeah, you're pretty much seeing the same 8, maybe 9 guys every single game. I think they're in about as good a position that you have in the league right now to be able to pull that off effectively and just
They got a good balance.
Yeah.
Like I said, they play D. They can the way I think if you're going to get to them, got to shoot over. In other words, 3-point barrage. Which, to be fair, that other team, and if they ever get Mr. Novak's from out of his head, out of his butt, then he'll be able to come back and play. He'll be back by January. And then once he gets playing and they can really start lighting it up from outside, they are the foil the way the Bucks play. They are kind of that foil, which we saw in the playoffs last year. And that was them at third of their strength. So,
I mean, again, I think that's the issue. I think that's really
with the 3-point shooting.
Yeah,
but those shots better go in.
So much.
All I'll say.
So much of this league seems predicated on how a couple of, let me just say, prima donna guards are going to manage their own business. It's like you're not injured. You're not even hurt.
Yeah.
I got it. There's for different reasons, a lot of stuff going on. Okay, fine, fair enough. But when we're actually really,
one of them is attempting to think of other, even if it's just lip service, at least he's using lip service to try to help other people.
Sure.
Trying to, his heart may be in the right place. His brain might not be. When his brain's not.
right.
His heart's probably in the right place. That type of thing. As for that other guy. I think Doc Rivers' best thing. Don't let that door hit you on the way out.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Go home.
And the other thing too, I mean, is on paper it looks good. I think, again, if you really wanted to look at the rosters on paper, we talked about the Nets. Yeah, I think it would really be them. I don't even think the Sixers is constituted would. I mean, they might. You might. Simmons. Yeah, it's just not there. But I mean, they would probably be like the second, potential team that could really give this team a run for their money in the East. And then again, oddly enough, in the West, it seems to fall off real quick. So. This is their championship to take again.
Oh yeah,
it really, and so
I mean, you always have to say barring injury, but barring injury,
exactly.
This is if 100% healthy going into the playoffs, they're the team.
Yeah,
and I don't know that it's. I mean, it's close. It's closer than in some other past years. But it's closer than that, but there's still a good. I would say there's still some breathing room between them and whoever decides to jump up to second. We had talked about the other day or yesterday with Miami kind of playing that second tier. There's a jump between the Bucks and Miami.
There really is. It's
quantum leap between those two teams, or the Knicks, or there's a quantum leap between those teams. The Nets, if everybody's rolling and everybody's healthy, okay, now then talk. But outside of them in the East, if all things are equal and everybody's healthy and rolling into the playoffs, I say the Bucks are the one. They're a clear one. Like I said, reigning defending champs, one, and maybe a growing power as a not. They're ramping up. They could be ramping up.
They could be. They win this one and then look as solid say next season as they did this upcoming season, then that's when I may start talking about like potential dynasty.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But like, right now it's too early.
That third one.
You gotta
absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta get definitely 2 under your belt, and then come in that third.
Especially when you're ramping up for the second.
Exactly. Yep.
When your second's better than your first. Put some distance between you and the second place team. That's always that time. So anyhow, that's the Bucks.
That's the Bucks.
Yeah.
Hey.
So we go from a clear one to they also play basketball.
This is the only thing I can say about the Pacers, really.
Vanilla ice cream.
To be honest with you, it's a good thing that they're in Indianapolis. It's probably if you want to talk about like a city a city representing the team or vice versa.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing particularly wrong with them. They're just not good enough.
No,
it's really. I don't really know what else to say.
Any of their components, you go, oh, good player. Miles Turner, oh, he's a good player. Malcolm Brogdon, wahoo wah.
Yeah.
Good player, good, solid former Buck. Actually, imagine if he was still there.
Good grief! Yeah, forget it. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
LeVert, good player when he's healthy. He has had some injuries. Sabonis, good player.
Second generation.
Warren's actually gotten right. Yeah, exactly. Warren has gotten out of nowhere, so he's been ramping up again. They have components, but their A game, their absolute best of their best.
They puts them in Indiana.
They are there. They will probably make the playoff. Not probably. They'll make the playoffs.
Sure. And even looking at their whole lineup is just kind of. You got Justin Holiday, you got T.J. McConnell, Jeremy Lamb, Brad Wanamaker, Torrey Craig, Gogo Batazzi, I believe that's how that's pronounced, and then some other names that it starts to drop off. I don't recognize them. They actually they've got some low-key depth going here too, but again, it's also this. I don't see any
level depth
body coming off the bench really moving the needle for them. And so, I don't really have much else to say about them. Like I said, I can't sit here and find a specific fault in anyone.
And they could just as easily trade one of their guys. Miles Turner, they've been talking about trading him for a while. Well, if they trade him, what do they trade him for? Okay, does this team go into a rebuild? They can fall off the map.
Sure.
Brogdon was actually, I think, offered in a trade for Simmons, if I remember correctly. It was Brogdon and a number 1, I think, for Simmons.
Yep.
Okay, if you switch out Brogdon and you put Simmons in here, are they that much better?
Not really. Outside of him just getting such a big chip on his shoulder that he just decides he's just going to take it over. But even then, it might get them up to maybe like 5th.
It'd be a heck of a defensive team. I'll give him that.
Sure. But Brogdon's no joke on defense either. So, Simmons is a much better one. No. But it's not like it's not like you're. Yeah. It gets to a point where now there are times where Ben Simmons is just flat out unstoppable, but ultimately he's a one-trick pony, and especially you get going into the playoffs, then that just all gets schemed out, and it just
it would be funny if you put Simmons on. In a way, they're a watered down version of what the 76ers currently are with Simmons.
To an extent,
you have a center,
that who can shoot, who can defend,
but is a big guy and is can also dominate inside.
Yep,
you'd have some good, solid players around him.
Sure,
maybe Sabonis falls into the on his name just briefly. He's playing Orlando. Who's their third guy in Philly?
Oh, I know who you're talking
He's
about.
got
Hold
the
up.
big contract. Yeah, sorry, brain just completely blanked on his name. But Sabonis could be that guy. Okay, they're equal as far as their styles and stuff like that. Tobias Harris is one.
Yeah, to buy.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think.
So
I think that. Yeah, I think in one way they can kind of help out. I mean, it's a little bit different here because you have Sabonis who can play the 5 if he needs to. You've got, I mean, again, like I said, they've got some low key depth and flexibility on this team that
Just-
you wouldn't necessarily have. The big thing is, I mean, you got Levert. I think probably, and yeah, Turner can shoot. Sabonis can kind of, when he needs to, if you don't want him shooting a lot, but he can. He's usually pretty smart when he does shoot.
Yeah.
I think they could put some people around them. I think the biggest thing is that I think especially if you're going to bring in a guy like Simmons, I would want, especially probably out of the starting 5. I'd want at least one drop dead 3-point shooter out on the wing.
You have to have it.
Because that's how you make up for that lack of it. And you've got what I would call decent to good 3-point shooting, but not that. And I think that would probably be the one piece they would need to account for if they were to try and say bring in Simmons. But right now, looking at how they're built up, again, it's just like, man, it's like I can't be mad at this team.
No,
but I can't be proud of them either.
You know what they are. Like there's no, what they are.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. They're gonna also have played in the playoffs. They will also have played in it. They will lose in the first round probably.
Yeah,
that's just kind of where it is. They're going to be near the bottom. I have them 8th, so I have them in the play-in, and I have them actually getting to the playoffs.
I think that's fair. I think they can do that.
Case, that would match them up against the team we just left in the Bucks.
Yeah.
So
I think if you're anybody outside of New Jersey right now,
you want to stay with the Bucks.
You want to stay away from the Bucks. So Brooklyn, I guess, but they're still the New Jersey Nets to me. I can't.
I say it all the time. Honestly, they would prefer New Jersey right now because then play. Kyrie.
Oh sure, yeah, especially the home games. Yeah.
So
okay.
Anyhow, on from Indiana. Gets better from no,
it starts to fall off a cliff is what it does. Apart. I mean,
notice they are. I will say this, and I will let you talk about. They have upside. They have more upside than people probably even give credit for, and that is by far the nicest thing I could say about Detroit. The Jeremy Grant is a lot better than people realize. I watched him play in the first game, and I saw him last year as well. He was in Denver a couple of years ago. Deep team. He was rising. He got out of Denver, and last year he played on a bad team, and he showed out, though. He exploded out of nowhere. Sometimes that's because you're on a bad team, sort of like we were talking about the other day about Wendell Carter Jr. You're on a bad team and you start all the games and you play all the minutes. Of course, you can get statistics because somebody's got to. You should fall into 10 rebounds. Jeremy Grant actually has skill, and it's because of his size and pedigree and everything. But I know you're going to get into that for sure. So you can really see him playing well. That's without Cade. I've seen Cade play. I saw him a couple of times in college. Smooth. The guy's smooth. He is a smooth point forward. It depends on.
They have him slotted at shooting guard with Hayes at the 1. I think.
I think it's more to do with Hayes being clearly a point guard.
Sure.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like. I was actually thinking about this the other day, and this is probably a good team to kind of talk about it. But if you look at Denver, you look at LA, look at some of these other teams. and they talk about like positionless basketball.
Mhm.
I think what you're looking at more hand is you've got kind of your kind of your well-defined guards, your wings, your forwards, and your bigs. And then you've got 5 guys to basically fill into those 4 slots. So you're going to have some double up depending, and you might have some people that can kind of flex between them.
Right.
It's like the responsibility of point seems to be kind of more of a it's like rebounding. It's like it really just kind of depends on who. Okay, if you're you might have a situation where if you look at like a lot of the teams that Westbrook played on. The role of rebounding for the most part fell on him because he was the one getting them all. So and so I think in a lot of cases where you might have situations where maybe Killian might be bringing it up, might work where Cade's bringing it up. You might see a lot of like hockey assists coming from Hayes kind of thing, right? Sure. And so I think that you're, depending on how you play it, I think that you're starting to see, especially with a young team like this, you could probably start to see situations where that whole the quote unquote point is kind of situational and more just not necessarily as
Hayes is going to have to really step up his shooting.
Okay.
He's going to have to really step up his shooting. And I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm just saying if he's going he's going to have to really jump.
Kind of really start to boost up the scoring kind of thing.
Everybody's just going to sag off of him. And sag, maybe not completely off of him, but when Jeremy Grant gets it and starts to drive, they're going to sag away from him. Saddiq Bey, you're not leaving. He's your shooter.
Yep.
And surprisingly, he has the potential of being a little bit of a black hole where the ball goes in and doesn't come back out. He does have a little bit of that in him. At least, again, one game that I watched him this season. So a little bit of that, but it also with so many other pieces of their offense missing that could have been just that kind of one-off type of deal. A little bit of that, but he was also a little bigger, stronger than guys. Again, I hate to keep referring people to him, but Tobias Harris-esque, better shooter, much better shooter, but a little bigger and stronger than guys that are usually out there with him. And he knows he's a little bigger, stronger than guys, and he muscles them a little bit, pushes them out the way a little. That could, get him in some foul trouble too, to get the right guy. But he's that good shooter, decent ball handler, But again, if the ball goes in, he's looking to score. Like that's what it's about.
Right.
And Isaiah Stewart's a good. He's your big power guy in the inside. Again, young. This team is all about the future. Future begins. Heck yeah, it does. They're a team that 5 years from now, that's what they're looking at. And I wouldn't even be so sure that Jeremy Grant isn't there by the end of the season. I could see them, if they could get a, not a Godfather package, but a good package, some high picks. He'll put in, Jeremy Grant's, his timeline doesn't quite match right with Cade, that type of thing, Hayes, etc. So
I think, I could see him definitely being the most obvious move, especially out of the starting group. You got Kelly Olynyk. He's their backup center right now. He's one of those guys that can, again, kind of fill in a lot of gaps. He's not like a
Josh Jackson's there.
Yep.
Good lanky defender. Couldn't shoot if his life depended on it. But he's a good lanky defender. You leave him immediately if somebody drives in. You just leave him out at that 3-point line and let his 20% 3-point shooting come into play.
You go for it, man.
Hey, man. You hit one. Please.
Look at you.
Again.
Look at you.
Yeah. That's your one for the game.
Good.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's much else to say about these guys, to be honest with you.
They're young.
They're young. They got some good. One thing I will say is, on Jeremy, for folks that don't know, he's the son of Harvey Grant, who's the biological twin brother of Horace Grant, who was, again, kind of an integral piece of those first 3 championships for the Bulls. Probably
Lakers.
one of my favorite players growing
Magic.
up. Yeah, he went over to the Magic, was one of the key parts of that. It fizzled out, but kind of that. I mean, Anderson just needed to make free throws. But he was a good part of that. That Orlando Magic team with Shaq and Penny.
Yep.
So I mean, he's got, again, not necessarily like superstar power. Maybe Jeremy might be the one to really bring kind of some of that into the mix, maybe a little bit. But he's definitely got chops on him, and again, he's got a bloodline and a pedigree on him there too. So, so yeah, we'll just have to see what he does. But I mean, really, he's kind of they're rising up, because even he's probably the older out of the starting five, but it's not like he's old, and he's growing into his role too. So
he is an old 27.
Exactly. So
he's the old man at 27.
Yep.
But that just shows how young the rest of them are. That's really what that comes down to.
Yep.
And they got Corey Jones, they got some veterans on this team, but yeah, they are very clearly. They're playing. They're going to be in the lottery. They're not making a playoff push unless Cade just comes in and sets the world on fire. He could still set the world on fire, and they still be in the lottery.
That's not going to be enough.
Not even a knock on.
Yeah, no, it's just
right. So
okay.
Right.
This is where people, unless when LeBron James is on the team, this is where people go for their careers to die. And it's a shame. Although
I'll say, let me just say this real quick. I swear that Cleveland has 3 or 4 different people in charge, and each day each one of them, a different one of them, is in charge for that day, and each of them like centers. So they don't remember what happened like the day before. So they wake up and go, "We should get a center." So they do. Or we need somebody that can play power forward or center. We need to be 7 feet and can play center or power forward. And so every day they just wake up and hey, you know what? We should get Jared Allen. Cool. We should get Larry Marketing. Mazel tov with that one. Yeah. Evan Mobley. Hey, you were picking where you were. Good pick, legitimately. And I think I'm missing somebody too.
Kevin Love.
I swear that Kevin Love, yes, who's been around. He's 900 years old now. But yeah, let you start on him. I just had to kind of get that out. I swear
I agree. It's either that, or like they're just basically saying, okay, this is how we might be able to go up against the Chicago Bulls, because we know they are actually somewhat starving for bigs, so we're just going to grab all of them. Right. I don't know what else to say. I actually felt bad when Jared Allen ended up going there, because I actually like him as a player.
I do too.
I think they've a similar kind of thing to Detroit here, because they've also got a lot of youth on this team. But yeah, they've also got a lot of size. Again, we were talking about it in the last one, where they had a situation where they basically had Marketing playing the small forward spot, probably just out of necessity.
See, it won't work.
I mean, again, if you're looking at him to be, again, maybe more of sort of just that catch and shoot 3, then he could potentially do that. But yeah, defensively, he's a liability. Well, yeah, it's really, but then it's, I mean, I could see it, I could scheme it where, again, like, okay, if I've got one person that's, because, I mean, that wouldn't be the only team in the NBA that at least has one person who's a defensive liability. So then you'd have to make sure that you wouldn't have him on the best person, and you'd pretty much maybe put him on like a power forward who's more of a grunt and not necessarily really going to be getting a lot of points. and just
They would
kind
get
of
every single rebound. Whoever
well,
that grunt
sure,
is.
sure,
Whoever
sure.
that grunt is. If that grunt is 6'3", they'll get that. It does not matter. They will bully him out of the gym.
Unless Mobley gets it. I'm just saying, or Allen gets it. So,
Right,
I mean,
better.
I think that's the thing. I mean, I think that's
I mean, matchup wise, if you put marketing on, well, he's a grunt, he's not really a scorer. Well, he's probably on the court because he's a rebounder. Then
sure,
beat the crap out of Larry.
Oh no, that's what I mean. I mean, yeah, you'd have to have somebody like Mobley or Allen on the floor too that can then in turn grab those boards for him, because that's not really what he's going to be doing, But again,
that guy Mobley would then be going against
someone much more faster.
Somebody's going to be a 2-on-1.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean.
It'll be tough. It'll be tough. I think that, but again, I think that they've got to figure out their identity. They got to figure out what they're doing. They need to fire their entire back office. They were
trying to get rid of. They were trading Colin Sexton in the offseason, Then now they're keeping him and Garland. They overlap so much.
Too much. Yeah.
Similar. Both, I think, are really good, possibly good young guards, but they sort of.
And then they've
overlap a little bit.
Rubio.
Yeah, I just Isaac Okoro. I like him.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Yeah, and he is.
Can't shoot.
Again. And so
I think he's getting better. But I mean, he started from so low, really low. Good, tough defender. If he could add a jump shot, okay, hey. He might be your best player on the team at that point if he got a jump shot.
Actually developed a jump shot.
Right.
They've also got Cedi Osman, who's been kind of a journeyman here in the league.
Sure.
But again, it's kind of
the future is clearly Mobley. Not breaking news there. I think if they could trade Sexton, they will. That's what they're kind of waiting for. But they have so much overlap. What would you? They've got too much overlap. They've got every center. Big man over 6'10", 6'11" on the team.
Maybe
it's just a team of weird matches. It's a team that, like in fantasy football or basketball, that you put together in hopes to trade.
Right.
So I've got 8 wide receivers. I have 1 running back. Those are me. I've got 8 wide receivers. I got 1 running back. I need to trade 3 of my wide receivers for a good running back.
Right.
That is basically how this team almost looked like they were built to do.
Now, the only thing I will say is maybe, just maybe, they're trying their own version of the process. Because if you don't remember, Philly at one point had every center and power forward in the league, practically. Just all of them. That wasn't starting. That wasn't going to start anywhere else. Pretty much. Basically, you had to get your bigs pretty much lined up. I think they're the ones that created.
Maybe they're trying to zig while everybody else zags.
Maybe.
Well.
I think because
everybody's going small.
Yeah, we're just going to go big.
The opposite way.
We can't beat them in their game. We're going to change the rules of the game. And
to be fair, there is something smart about that. I don't know that, but. If that is the thinking, I think a mistake that a lot of teams have made over the last decade, basically, is try to beat the Warriors by shooting.
Yeah,
you don't have Stephen Clay. What are you doing? You can't beat.
You're not gonna. Yeah, you're not gonna beat them in their game.
And you're gonna be C at best to their A. Yeah, so stop that. Try something else. And if that's the case, hey, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. I think the only thing I was just going to make a joke that maybe like the whole like small ball thing in the NBA was primarily just created by Philly because they were just hogging all the bigs, and so there were no bigs to go around, so they pretty much had to go small ball because there was no bigs. But
I don't know. 6'9" is out here. So.
I don't see this team even getting close to a play-in game.
They'll play in games, but
they'll play in games, but they're not going to get into the like. They're not even going to get like. They'll pretty much like at the end of the regular season, they'll pretty much just be watching the playoffs like the rest of us schmucks.
Yes.
guaranteed. So
Yeah.
it's a shame, but it is what it is.
There are a
And
couple of lottery picks and a trade or two away from
possibly,
okay.
yeah.
So
But yeah, it's a shame. But
yeah,
there you go.
Lottery.
They need to change.
right.
They need to change their Cavaliers name. They need to take that because they're just a
Yeah.
stain on the Cavaliers name.
This is
You know.
true. This is very true. This is very true.
All right. Here we go.
All right, so
let's get to the actual
There's one other
discussion
team,
here.
I
Oh
guess
yeah,
we
this
should talk
who's
about.
this?
I forgot
What is
about,
this team?
Other team that
What
we
is
should
this?
probably, I guess, chat about a little bit. The Bulls, I think the name are.
I think that's yeah. I think some people know about them.
Chicago Bulls. I don't have much for this one.
Oh, I got a lot. So
I'm just this.
they're not even my team, and I got a lot to say.
I mean, do you want me to go first, or do you want to take?
Let me go first, and that way you can just run with the rest of it. Okay.
All right.
Interestingly enough, you got this team, and you take kind of some younger. You got some young pieces that they still have in place. They move some stuff around. They pick up Nikola Vucevic. Okay, good player.
Trade deadline last year.
Hey, all-star. Maybe the only time he gets it. Not like a. He's not a move the needle name, right?
Mm-hmm.
They pick up DeMar DeRozan. Again, not really a move the needle name. Had some real sparks up in Toronto. Kind of fell off in San Antonio, and then comes in. It's like, okay, all right, I can see it. Then they pick up Lonzo Ball, and everybody took notice, even without kind of the whole maybe squirreliness with the trade rules and all that stuff. We'll leave that aside. But then once they picked up Lonzo Ball, they've already got LaVine solidified at the 2. They've got P. Will solidified at the 4, but now they're bringing in some really some couple solid pieces who both have at any given season could be at the cusp of all-star level, but may not necessarily get there. But again, solid. But then again, I think really bringing in Lonzo Ball into this pretty much put the nail in the coffin in terms of at least this is a team you got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
We talked about who could possibly beat the Bucks. I hate to tell you, man, I don't see them quite doing it, but they're a team. They're a team you got to pay attention to. And it's this year's kind of the year where you can kind of really start to see how well they can work, and then really start to see it's oh, okay, if they really, this gives the Bulls the opportunity to really say, okay, yes, if they can lock this in, then I think they could really be a serious threat. And again, I've already told you, I think they're a little guard/wing heavy. I'd still like to see at least one more defensive rebounding big to put into the rotation, because they're very, very light, especially at center. Right. Yeah, I mean, so I think that's really, if I had one serious knock on this team, that would be what I would say. They've got a lot of flashy wings. Okay, it's great, but when we really want to talk about winning, they need someone
down big.
They need someone that can slot in for either P. Will or Vucevic when they need someone to really kind of come in and maybe shut things down inside. Bradley, if Bradley really shows up and really proves himself to be a solid rim protector and really kind of comes in and really, steps up on that role, then I'd feel a little bit better. But again, you still need at least one other person too,
Right.
because if Vooch gets hurt, you need someone else. And I know they've been putting Alize Johnson kind of doing like the small ball 5 and that kind of thing, especially with P. Will hurt. But yeah, that's just going to be trouble. So long term, especially once you start looking at like trying to play up against with teams like the Bucks and
Right.
Well, heck, even the 76ers and the Nets, that's going to be a problem. So
Sure.
that's really, that's what I'll say there. But it's interesting how much media coverage this team has been getting when you look at maybe, again, outside of Lonzo Ball, the individual pieces that they've grabbed, even since they've got Vucevic, hasn't been like something I would be like, oh, okay, that's interesting, but not like, oh, okay, this is something. Individually, they're not really, like, none of those moves outside of maybe Ball have really been those kind of moves, but collectively, they've gotten probably about as much coverage as I've seen the Bulls get in a very long time. So
ESPN still hates them. They still got some issues. They got some issues. But
go ahead, man. That's kind of my take on them right now. I think they're well poised. I'm not mad at 5th. I think that's a solid place to put them.
Right.
Again, could oscillate to 4th or 6th depending, but I think that's a good target. And yeah, we'll just have to see how they go. But yeah, they're looking at the very least looking like an exciting team to watch. So I think they've definitely got some pieces there. But yeah, that's it from me.
All right. So yeah, the Bulls are exciting is the word that, and I'm speaking pure. I am going pure fan at this point. And then I will back or it may go the other way. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, if you're a Bulls fan and you've had to suffer through whatever the heck that has been the last few years, a grudge of one bad coach, the worst coach perhaps of all time. I'm not even saying his name. That egg-headed guy that was here before, and front office and all the drama and the busted lottery picks and all of that. Oh, thank God. Oh my goodness. I am so Vucevic was beginning. He was at the beginning. The beginning was getting that front office out of here.
Right.
See you, John Paxson. Thank you for hitting a shot in 93.
But what have you done for us lately?
Or even moderately lately. It's most people had, honestly. Most of the players in the NBA weren't born then, so I don't even want to hear it. Anyhow, Pax, thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that other bum that went to New Orleans, I don't have any thanks for him. Just hope he didn't break anything on the way out. That was the first move that the Bulls' new front office did, was firing him, and it couldn't have been a better, more apropos move. This team is gonna be so much, and that sounds like a ridiculous thing as a fan. Like, oh, your team's fun. Who cares? You're if you're not winning a championship, who cares? If you had to watch Lowry marketing and hit your wagon to that guy or Carter and that's the more recent guys. Even further back, we're talking Michael Carter Williams, and there was one guy after another that here we go. This is the guy we get behind. There is a reason that since the front office got here last year, the new front office got there. I got to stop calling them the new front office. They're not new anymore. They've been here less than a full 2 years.
Sure.
And the entire team, aside from 2 guys, are gone. That's got to tell you something right off the top. Everybody. And it was a younger team. It wasn't a team that was at the end of their life. They're all gone. Out of here. Some, Thad Young, were a necessity, not a want. Nice to have you still. Daniel Gafford, Gafford, I'd have
He would
probably
be a
hung on
good
to him
he would be a
little
good guy
longer.
to have right now.
Still have,
Mhm.
but everything else about this team is exciting. They will have to gel. They will absolutely have to gel. But as far as a balanced starting five goes, you have a consummate guard in Lonzo Ball, who is still getting better. He is young. Is he 25? I don't think he's 25. I think he's younger than that. Young player, has never gotten the biggest thing that he said coming into this season. Well, they were like, "Well, why did you go to Chicago? You know, losing, blah blah blah." He said they wanted me to play basketball the way I play basketball. Want to be
Right.
for me. That was his quote. There's something to be said for that. In every other situation in his career, outside of maybe his rookie year, and even then it was probably a little dicey, the team wanted him to be something that he's not. Or to, well, we need this hole, so we need to fill it because you kind of can do it. And that's the thing. Lonzo can do a lot of stuff very well. Elite level, maybe not. Outside of passing, ball handling, good solid ball handler.
Good defender.
Heck of a defender.
Great.
Heck of a defender.
Yeah.
His 3-point shooting was god awful when he came in the league. He shot from the left side of his head and he's right-handed. I don't even know how that's physically possible. All of that was legitimately, when I say that, he shot
No, I
from the left
know.
side of his head.
I know.
Is he going to be, Klay Thompson? No. But you don't need him to be.
No.
38, 39, which is what he shot last year.
Right.
Everyone talks about how terrible of a shooter he is. Well, he was. And now he's not. He's gotten better. He has improved his game. And anytime you have a young player, especially a young player that comes in at that high level, that you see still progressing and adding pieces to the game, those are the guys that you always want to hang on to. It's the guys like, say, a point guard in Philadelphia.
I was going to say,
who has never learned how to shoot a jump shot or a free throw or anything else. That is where you've plateaued. Paul's not plateauing. He's only getting better. He is a distributor. He wants to pass. His biggest fault, honestly, is that he passes much. He'll be too unselfish. If that's the worst thing you can say about a point guard,
exactly.
It is bad. It's worse than you think it is, but it's really, it's not end of the world by any means. If that's the worst thing I got to say about you, we can work around that. we got a spot for you. DeMar DeRozan he could be an odd fit. With that said, I think his mid-range game, he fills in the gaps. People talk about mid-range like it's a 4-letter word, like it's terrible thing. Oh, mid-range, it's still 2 points. If a guy can hit 2-pointers really well, a lot more often than not, that's 2 points. You know what you get if you miss a 3-pointer? 0. And if you're not a big rebounding team, you get 0. That'll kind of add up after a while.
And he doesn't make poor shot decisions.
No, he doesn't tend to be the black hole. The ball doesn't tend to first game.
Well, that's the other thing too. He's
still learning and things like that.
He's he has a good chance of being like second in assists on the team. He's a playmaker. Right. And the thing about the mid-range too is that, you're looking at, because of the bias, it's an area of the floor that isn't as well defended as it could be anymore.
Of course.
Because people are just
floor out now.
It's basically
in the middle.
It's the 3-pointer, it's the 3-point line in the paint.
Yep.
It's pretty much where most of the defensive focus falls. So yes, he can get those curls. He can get those positions, and he's good at doing that. And again, you want to talk about a player that, if being allowed to play the way he plays, then he's somebody that can. You want to talk about like trash time points, or or points where really you need to get really start to drive in, or you're not the 3-pointer's not falling, but you need to get some consistent points. The paint's getting clogged down, but you still need to get some consistent points. I think you can still get that with, and I think P. Will could also kind of fall into that route too, as sort of like a fourth.
I was going to say, let me. I'll
go ahead.
I'll get to him because after DeRozan, Well, I say after. Vucevic is the second guy.
Sure.
Vucevic
Sure.
is actually the second guy.
Scoring wise, yeah, for sure.
Kind of, yeah, to make everything really, and rebounding. Quite frankly, he's the first guy as far as rebounding goes.
Mm-hmm.
The first game, he had 15 rebounds. Shot poorly. He actually shot really, didn't play well at all, and bad team. But Vucevic is going to be. He's our only big, our only real big player.
Yeah.
Tony Bradley of consequence, I guess I should say. And Vucevic, people act like he is a complete sieve defensively. He's average.
No, he's not. Yeah, he's
an average defender. Mm-hmm. Is he?
He's not. He's not
Mutombo.
He's not in his but he's also not. He's also
shots.
not in his canter either.
Right.
So
turnstile. Yeah, he's not a turnstile, and he plays his position. He knows his role. He's in the right spots. He is an average defender.
Mm-hmm.
Lonzo Ball's in the.
Yes, he is.
Patrick Williams, yeah, really.
If he isn't there yet,
because he's young.
If he isn't there yet, he will be soon.
He's knocking on that door.
Yeah.
We've got some other guys. I'll get to Caruso and all those guys that are coming off the bench. Vendors, energy. Vucevic drops back. He's in the right spot. He cleans up the rebound.
Yep.
That's his job defensively. Be in the way. Put your arms up. No, you're not going to block any shots. If you do it, it was by accident, completely. But that is more important. It makes he's average to just a notch above average. Notch above average. Just not many notches, a notch. And even if he doesn't, and he's just average, if everybody else around you is playing better defense, and if you saw the guys that they started with last year, trust me, even DeRozan would be better.
Oh yeah. Well, I think people sleep, but like DeRozan's not an elite defender either. I wouldn't even say necessarily great, but I think he's
below average, like legitimately.
Yeah.
But a lot of times that also has, especially when it comes to scores, a guy that's he slacks, and I say this looking at the guy in the center of the picture here.
Sure.
But a lot of times when all of the the scoring is your job, your team relies on you to get 25 or more points a night, you do take breaks on defense.
Yeah.
I mean, you need some air sometimes, and you take breaks. You're thinking about the next play or the shot you missed, or just, gotta get that guy. By me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I can't foul out. I've got, 3 fouls, 4 fouls.
Well, I think that's another big part of it too. So
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm not having to be the offensive player, and then it's a little bit different. I could have a little energy at the end of a game or in the third quarter because I know, hey, one, I'm gonna get a blow on. I can go over and hang on the bench for a little bit, and it's okay because these guys are out here.
Right.
After that, of course, then there's P. Will, Patrick Williams, star 20-year-old. No, he's not a superstar. He's he is growing. He's got to get more aggressive. If he gets aggressive, his team's dead. I mean, I did that. You got your 5 type of thing. If P. Will become an aggressive offensive player, not defensively. Defensively, he's fine. He's doing well. He's heading the right direction. He can guard anybody. If he gets that aggressive gene somewhere in that body of his, and it kicks in, where he's calling for the ball or taking his shot, not just hanging in the corner. He's a good 3-point shooter, not a great 3-point shooter, but he's a 35, 37, I think, % last year.
That's
good. Yeah. That's really good for a rookie, a 19-year-old rookie, youngest player in the league last year, youngest player in the league, and he was every night playing, matching up against LeBron and Giannis, and so it wasn't that he wasn't getting the experience, but he's still 19, playing with very grown men. His nature is a little passive, a lot passive to begin with. That is his worst quality. All there. If he gets take time, he's 20. Just turned 20. He just turned 20 in August. he's a newly minted 20-year-old, fairly newly. He gets where he's getting 17 a night. Let's see how well they match up against anyone not named the Bucks.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I still have some issues with them. Now, of course, then there's the bench. I'm going to talk about the bench. Kobe White is hurt. Kobe White last year was starting point guard. Is not a point guard. He is an ultra shooter. And it's not that's a knock. People take that as a knock. Oh, he's not a point guard. Oh, he's a bust. No, he's just not. He is a scorer. He can handle the ball, and he happens to be 6'5", but he can handle the ball and shoot threes. He is your instant offense. You move that guy from your starting lineup pretty well in the starting lineup to the bench. You've got that type of firepower coming off the bench. Now he's got a bad shoulder. He had surgery. He's probably out another month or so, at least, before he comes back. But you got him. Pure unadulterated offense. You name it, he can shoot it, bar none. Let's roll. After that, you got Mr. Defensive Wizard, LeBron's favorite role player, Mr. Alex Caruso, the White Mamba. So I think that's really Scalabrine. That was Scalabrine. So Alex Caruso, he knows his role, plays it extremely well. He sets the tone for a bench defensively.
Yeah.
He will.
Hell of a passer too.
Line. Yes.
Hell of a passer.
Right, exactly. He can run the offense. He can stand out on the wing.
Yep.
He can go grab the. Will he stop every single person? No. Is he the most athletic player you've ever seen? He's a lot more athletic than you get credit for.
Sure. Yeah.
I know why we think that, but he is a lot. He is. Watch him play. You have seen him dunk on people.
Yep.
You have seen him out quick people. He is not the guy. He's not Archie, and everybody knows who that is. As a Bulls fan, he is not Archie.
Yeah.
He's not John Paxson.
Nope.
He's not any of those guys. So, and then they just get longer and lankier with the more bodies that they come off the bench with. Not taller. They're all the same height, 6'8". 6'5", 6'5" to 6'8". Everybody else is the same height. Troy Brown Jr., young player, lanky, 3-and-D guy. He's a 3-and-D guy. Derrick Jones Jr., he's the slasher. I would say 3-and-D, except he doesn't have the 3. If he learns the 3, then it's even more dangerous. But he is a slasher, rim runner, attempts to be a defender. You can see he wants to be a defender. He tries. And honestly, defense, that's more than anything is as
gumption.
As much as important. Just get out there and try.
Mm-hmm.
And then the preseason megastar being Javonte Green, who started at power forward and was who I was referencing when I was making fun of Lowry just ago when I said he's going to get bullied by anybody, even if he's 6'3". Yeah, that was Javonte Green bullying him, pushing him away. All 7 feet tall of Larry Marketing, his cream puff self.
Pretty much, yeah.
Javonte Green, Virginia guy, shoved him out the way. He is a hustler. He is a rim runner. He will dunk on you in a second. Again, a guy off the bench. Is he a star? No, he's not a star. Don't need that. That's on the bench. And then you got a couple of guys, the taller guys. Tony Bradley, the jury's out for him. I saw him last year play against the Bulls, play the 76ers. He actually did really well. Saw him in preseason, looked heavy. That's the only way I can say that. And it didn't look like he was in the greatest shape. Now he's coming off an injury and things like that. So it could be some of that. We'll see. I know what he's supposed to be. I didn't see it. I'm a little skeptical of him. And then we have Simonovic, our rookie. That he's tall. Saw him play in summer league, and then played it all in played at all
Preseason, I don't think so.
I don't remember him playing at all. Good player, but there's one guy I forgot to mention. Of course we got a couple other guys on the bench as well. That the Bulls bench is deeper than people give it credit for. That will be the strength of this team, is how they can evenly bring some guys off the bench without losing a ton from their guys in the offensive lineup. And the fact that they have 3 former or current All-Stars to always be able to have in a lighter version of what the Nets have, a much lighter version of what the Nets, where you always have, you're not looking around going, dang, out here that can score. We got one guy out here that can score. Hey, DeMar's out here, great, and 4 other bums who can't score, so just cover him. That's not a problem for them. They can put scoring out there, have 2 star scorers out there. Even if you put Kobe kind of in that version of that, then you have, even a 4th one, that type of thing. But no star shines nearly as brightly as the guy in the middle of this picture, Zachary LaVine. He is, I don't want to jinx it and talk anything about those 3 letters that everybody likes to talk about when players are, that there's, the MVP type of a thing. Mm-hmm. So Zach LaVine's knock has always been, he doesn't play defense, and he's an empty calorie scorer. Last year, or a volume scorer. He just get the ball, and he's on a bad team, similar to what I was talking about with Carter. Well, he's on a bad team. Well, somebody had to take shots, so of course he averaged a lot of points. He does it efficiently. You look at his stats last year, one of the most efficient seasons of all time. One of, not the, but you look at his stats, very efficient score, and that was last year. He didn't have a true point guard setting him up. A lot of his shots he was taking off the dribble, which can be good, but it's tough. A lot of times it was at the end of a shot clock. It was because he was bailing the team out and he was doing hero ball. Not in a bad way, hero ball, but because there's nobody else out here, so I got to shoot it. And not like I said, not a selfish way, but the ball would just end up back to him because they were all like, okay, Zach, save us. That's not the case this year. He will have, and if you watched him in preseason and even in the first game, Zach had 11 points and you couldn't remember when he shot any of the baskets. And then all of a sudden you look back and he had 20.
Right.
And the next time you looked up, he had 34. It was an efficient, I want to say he was 12 at some point from the field. A dominant scorer that doesn't need that many shots and still will get his without too much of an issue within the flow of the offense. That's a guy that's not scraping, hoping to get an all-star berth. That's a guy that is a leading vote-getting type, starter type of all-star. That's where I see LaVine being this year. I think he has ascended. Yes, the playing overseas or playing in the Olympics, I think, is a big help. People knock Zach, and if you watch him play, he's not the guy that make him out to be. As far as defense, is he a great defender? No. Is he an average defender? No, he's actually an above average defender.
Sure.
In that he's giving the effort and he has the quickness and speed and all the ability to do it. Sometimes he's just not in the right spot. But if you watched in the play again in the preseason and first game as well, with preseason and just how they're doing with practices and stuff like that, who is an elite defender? His running mate in the backcourt, Lonzo Ball. Ball. There was one possession specifically that I'm thinking about, and Zach was standing, and you could see him kind of thinking, I need to cover. And all Lonzo did, as everybody's setting up, this wasn't like out of play. It wasn't even the possession hadn't really bring the ball up the court. Lonzo just goes and touches him on the side like that way.
Right.
Zach goes over. Immediately there's a steal. There's a tip away, the pass, away they go. It's that type of stuff. And the same thing for Caruso. Caruso with Zach or even on the bench. Hey, Io, you're a good defender. Go. He's a rookie for the Bulls from Chicago. He, go out there. They all kind of turn. There's a leader on the court defensively,
right,
as well as offensively. Everybody knows it's Zach. You're our guy. Not that we don't have other guys, because we have other guys, but if it all breaks down, we have that leader, that clear, unquestioned leader of the offense. Everybody else falls in line. They don't fall behind; they just fall in line with, alongside.
I think
and
the
so
biggest
reason,
yeah.
I did not go fanboy. I went fifth. I think it'll take them some time. I think they need to gel.
No, I'm not.
I could easily see third.
Sure.
I could easily see.
I think
so. The reason I say third is just because if it all clicks, they're small. That's their knock. If they get in with the Bucks, they're in trouble. But those every other team. That's because the Bucks are huge. Bulls, though, lengthwise, if you remember the little triangle that I was, the Bucks, if you get in here, there's just so much height, but they're shorter and not quite as long as you get the outside. Bulls are not.
Bulls are the opposite of that.
Yeah, they're the opposite of that.
Yeah.
They can just come out in waves of long, lanky people that can just cover your guys up and start pressuring you all the way up the court. Full court pressure, not a problem. This team's not young. I mean, this team is young. They're not an old team, and they're long and lanky. Lonzo Ball, really good on-ball defenders. They can shut it down. Caruso,
Alize Johnson,
really good on-ball defender.
come in. Caruso, right. Yeah, you've got guys that can
exactly. We can come in kind of waves, and I think that's going to be their strength. Yes, you have the mega all-star that in Levine, and you have to have that. But when your second best scorer is getting you 20 and 10 or 12, and your third guy, let's say he drops down and he's been a 20-point a game scorer his entire career. Say he drops 17 or 18. P. Will, maybe P. Will steps up. Lonzo doesn't have to score, but I think he will. First game, he didn't shoot well. He was off. You could tell he was a little hyper. A little hyper. But that'll settle in. That's that getting to know everybody. I would not be terrified. I'm not saying they can beat any other team. I'm just not saying I'd be terrified outside of the Bucks.
Right.
I'm not terrified against the Nets. I'm not saying they're better than the Nets. I'm saying not terrified to play the Nets.
Yeah. You got a fighter's chance at minimum.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That type of thing. So anyhow, that's where I see the Bulls. I put them at fifth. Like I said, I wasn't going to go full on fanboy, but they're fun to watch. Bulls fans. It is so good to have a team that is. I'm not sitting there having to watch and hope for some miracle from Zach because we know it's gotten into the fourth quarter and it's 3 minutes to go, and that they're going to go on, or the other team's going to go on a run because Zach had to go out, or the whole other team is just defending Zach like they did. He got 40 in the first, 40 or 50. No, he got 40 in the game against the Hawks last year in the first half. And the second half, the Hawks ran 3 people at all time. They had 2 people just following him around. That's just how bad the rest of the team was at that point. You have 3 guys on one, can't get somebody open, there's a problem. And they could not, and they lost that game. So, yes, I'm looking forward. This is an exciting season. Definitely an exciting season. It's about the most excited I've been for a team, for the Bulls since...
Like Rose, Noah.
Rose and Noah. Clearly Rose, and I was trying to determine if I'm more excited than I was with those.
They've got more pieces I would argue.
Bad for so long.
Yeah.
They've been bad for so long.
The only closing thought I'm going to say here is that I think, because we talked about Ball and Caruso, I think that, and then to another extent having DeRozan on the team, I think that LaVine's going to be opened up. He's going to be he's going to be freed.
Got all the powers now.
Yeah, well, just in the sense
all
that again, yeah, and you talked about like what he's going to have help in terms of having to help figure out defensive schemes and things like that. But also, I think that you can slot in both Lonzo and Caruso, and you've got at the very least very competent floor general skills. That's going to help LaVine. Again, he's not going to have to be the guy that's going to have the ball in his hand to get that any play. He could be the guy that gets the bucket, but he doesn't necessarily have to be the guy that has the ball in his hand within the offense the whole time. And that's really going to open him up.
Double him.
And then also, I think he could also be a very good bonus for Kobe as well. Coming off the bench, and again, he can be that scorer, but he doesn't necessarily have to be the point guard. Because obviously, if ball's on the floor, he isn't going to be the point guard, and really, you're better off putting it in Caruso's hands too, off the second unit. So you could free people up that way. But again, I think especially for LaVine here, I think he's just going to have so much more freedom to do his thing and really kind of really be much more opportunity to be that 3-level scorer that he is. And, I think that's really going to really just open up a lot of doors here for them. But again, then you've got Vooch, you've got DeRozan, you've got other pieces on there too. So then he doesn't have to be the option every single time. It's going to take some weight off his shoulders. It's going to free him up, and then if he's playing loose, sure,
you can ISO and just clear out, and we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Do this Zach LaVine thing.
But he doesn't have to. He does not have to, and he can really, and he can really start to. I think in a way, it's going to even help his overall scoring this season, because it's going to put him in a much more loose and kind of more natural position to be able to run the floor, get the spacing, just wreak havoc out there and really get some serious buckets. So I mean, I think they made good moves. I mean,
they were like, oh, he's going to score less this year. I don't know. Yeah.
It may not. Exactly. I think that's exactly.
That's He had to work for his 27 game last year.
Yeah.
He didn't have to work for that. Not that he's lazy. I don't mean it that way.
He could be.
It's so much easier, and he has something left in the fourth quarter.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Have to respect other players and things like that. You just makes Zach is such a smooth player in general, and just things look so easy, natural. And when you see him struggling and is kind of getting out of his comfort zone, he can just score. His step back 3-pointers are killer. You would think step back 3-pointer, that's a terrible shot. Not for him. That's a good shot. That is a very good shot. But a defense can set up for it and you have to score for this team to be any good. Not the case anymore. Zach could have a quote off night with 25, and the Bulls win by 20.
Exactly. Even if his average let's say maybe goes down like 2 or 3 points.
I don't think it will. Honestly,
a game.
I think his average is going to go up.
It could, but I'm just saying, even if it does,
even if it did, though,
I think it'll ultimately end up leading to more wins for the team. And then again, also kind of like you said, he's going to be in a much better position in the fourth quarter to take over the game if he needs to, because he's not going to be dog tired by the end of it, carrying everybody, So I think in and of that, he's just going to have a lot more opportunity to show off what he can do. and and not and again, not be as just not as strenuous quarter after quarter, and then just as frustrating, And so I think it's definitely some good signs there.
Yeah, but so we'll stop it here.
Yeah,
for the night. And listen, first off, everybody, appreciate you getting to this point of the video.
Yeah.
If you haven't already, please hit that like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
That YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, drop a like or a dislike. It actually doesn't matter. Drop a comment and subscribe.
Our predictions too.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
We got all three of them out. We got all three for the East out there.
Yep.
So drop in. Let us know what you think. Be a part of. Let's have this be a conversation. So.
And if you haven't caught us before, we stream on Twitch, typically Monday, Wednesday, Friday or Saturday, kind of depends, but usually 3 times a week. Try to keep the schedule fairly tight on twitch.tv/gettingworkpod. We're playing New World right now, so if you're into that game, come and catch us. But you never know what we might be popping up on the Twitch. So if you want to catch us and just make fun of us sucking at video games, feel free. That's really what we're there for.
Talking some sports sometimes.
Yep.
I was going to say some sports.
Yep.
Some wrestling occasionally. We haven't done wrestling before.
Yeah, I'm trying to fit that in. Good grief. Yeah. But anyway, yep. Thank you so much for hopping on. And this is Getting Work. Signing out.
Later, fam.